name is Adrian Nanchev, and this channel is all about championing hemp's use and bringing it into the mainstream conscience. So click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification next to it for the latest uploads. Now, how is it that hemp and Bitcoin can change the world? Now, in my opinion, the way I see it is that both of them seek to change and challenge the status quo in their own way. Bitcoin in finance and in monetary system and like fiscal system, and hemp more from an industrial material kind of physical material perspective, and a crop and a food source. So it's interesting how hemp is like what you consume on a day-to-day business and world, and Bitcoin is and similar cryptocurrencies. I'm not here to promote Bitcoin, not here to sponsor Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies have the potential for international transfer of cash, a store of value. There's only a limited supply of them, and as well as a new monetary system that doesn't inflate away and doesn't really dictate what you can do, or RFID chips just like that, your money's gone, stuff like that. That's coming in the future. But both of them challenge the status quo. Prohibition, war on drugs, that needs to end. It's unjust. UN talking about it recently, how it's unjust and needs to end. And it's a victimless crime. People are smoking a drug of their choice, just like how people drink something of their choice in their own family, in their own home. There's nothing to do with the state. It doesn't violate the non-aggression principle, doesn't infringe other people's rights or livelihood or property or anything like that, and it's got nothing to do with them. And yet through force, through coercion, the government makes it their problem by interfering what you consume in your body and what you do with your time, what you spend your money on in a voluntary system with regards to buying and consuming said drugs, or even buying and consuming, or even growing, even like in the States, said plant of cannabis sativa or hemp. Nothing to do with the government. Leave them alone. It's it's human right to self-determination to do what you want to do, and that is challenged by these kind of laws, these draconian laws of prohibition. So that's how hemp can change the world physically, from industrial material, growing it, using it, eating it, consuming it. You building with it. I recently heard about the micronation of Liberland, a little small micro state, an anarcho-capitalist state between Croatia and Serbia. I heard about it a while ago, but I must have forgotten about it. But also, interestingly, Bitcoin can change the world in its own way, or some of the cryptocurrency can. I'm not here to sponsor Bitcoin, but that's the main one that people tend to know about, or well, not really tend to know about. See, both of them also lack awareness, like public perception, public knowledge of them. So Bitcoin challenges the financial system, the Federal Reserve, 1913, the beast from Jekyll Island and all that. It's the financial system. It's the physical world as hemp, like the invisible world, or on the internet and all the rest, is Bitcoin. So they work together somehow. That's the question of the day, by the way. How can they work together? Because both of them represent a challenge. Both of them are like David in the David and Goliath, or like two Davids, or they're fighting their own Goliath. Both of them are the underdog, and everyone loves to cheer for the underdog. Both of them are underutilized, underappreciated, and they can change the world for the better in a smaller government or reduced government kind of angle, anarcho-capitalist or libertarian perspective, getting rid of statism and coercion. People talk about taxation as theft, whereas if you want roads or healthcare, you can, if you want, have a private company to do it, or in some cases a toll road in the UK where you pay to access this road. And no doubt, well, I don't know the full details, but I wonder who built that. If it's a toll road that's privately owned, the chances are it might have been built by private sector in the first place. I'm not quite sure, but the point is, you don't need coercion to do things. We can do them voluntarily, and I like that. I like that about politics, libertarianism and anarcho-capitalism. And Bitcoin and hemp, they have a lot of potential to undermine, but change the status quo. And that's what it's all about, I think. If you're going to do something, I'm championing hemp. I find that you can either advocate Bitcoin in some fashion or some way, or hemp, because they're both underutilized. I'm not going out there championing and talking about horsetail herb, because that's already been used, that's already understood, that's already been appreciated. These things can change the world and not appreciated, not understood. The awareness is next to nothing, and I want to change that. So it seems to be that as a libertarian or a small government person, you either champion Bitcoin or hemp. I think it's a bit difficult or a bit more harder to champion hemp, so I've gone for that one. Not to disparage either one, but between the two, I prefer to advocate hemp slightly more because it's physical stuff. It looks cool to see factories and fields and all that. It just looks and feels cool. But going back a tiny bit, Lieberland, it tends to be that small countries, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, because they haven't got the land for agriculture nor for manufacturing, they tend to go for more financial services. And there's a small state that I've recently rediscovered called Lieberland, small islands. It's like 7 miles square, or 2.1 miles squared, just in between Croatia and Serbia. And places like that has a lot of potential with regards to small government, reduced taxes, not much regulation, has a lot of potential for the future to grow. Just like Liechtenstein and Switzerland are financial sectors, because they lack the land. So what the alternative is then in finance, in Bitcoin, for example, international transactions, doing business in Bitcoin. Not much land, unfortunately, for hemp, but at the same time they can build using hemp. Not much land to grow it, but also hemp is legal. Hemp to grow is legal in places like France and the UK in Europe. So that's how I believe they can work together in some fashion with regards to changing the status quo, educating the world that there is a better alternative out there to communism, to statism, and there is something much more free than coercion, where it's self-determination, it's voluntary, it's engage in more voluntary transactions in a free market, which I believe is the secret to success. Engage in more voluntary transactions in a free market. It's about waking up. It's about not being in the matrix, as some would say. It's about being the person you are. And when you are the person you are, who you discover who you are, what your purpose is, what you stand for, you realise that there's more to life than just working, living and dying. Standing up for something, being a man on a mission. And my mission is to champion hemp, bring it to the mainstream conscience, change the status quo. So the question of the day is, how, like in practical sense, can Bitcoin and hemp work together? How can they? Comment below, message me, etc. Comment below, subscribe, tell me what you think. And also, subscribe to the channel, click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification next to it, because this channel is all about championing hemp and bringing it into the mainstream conscience. How cool is that?